G.D. Spolcha, welcome back to another episode of Craic on the Coast, the official podcast of the Father John Murphy Division of the Ancient Order of Hibernians, representing right here on the South Shore of Massachusetts. I'm Mike Schilling.
And I'm Greg Shanahan.
Whether you're listening from the South Shore, somewhere else across the United States, Ireland, or anywhere else in the world, thank you for listening in. We have a great show today. Our featured guest is Josh Mackintosh, founder of the No Fame Games and the upcoming inaugural Celtic Strength World Championship that is happening right here in Milford, Massachusetts. But before we get to Josh, we got a couple of new features that were added to the show. Isn't that correct, Greg?
That's right, Michael. Along with our featured interviews, we'll now be bringing you regular segments covering local and national Hibernian news, updates from the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail, and just a little extra crack before we close out the show. So we're looking forward to bringing that to you. Before we go any farther, Mike, let me just compliment you on your choice of shirt. Like we have a uniform on today, or else we're on opposite teams here.
Well, at least we're not twinning. That would be worse.
Well, a lot of people don't know is that when you become a member of the Father John Murphy Division, you have access to a wide range of clothing. And what it is a green shirt and a white shirt. So you have the opportunity to see them both in action this evening. So consider yourselves lucky at home.
So for anyone that's been a long-time listener, we know this is going to be something new. And if you're a brand new listener, we hope that you enjoy. So grab a chair, grab your favorite beverage, and let's get into it. This is Craic on the Coast.
And now it's time for our Hibernian Headlines. Our lead story this week comes from Northern Ireland, where British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has issued a formal apology to the families of those killed in the Springhill-Westrock Massacre in West Belfast in July of 1972.
That's right, Greg. So this follows an inquiry that was officially done, which concluded that British soldiers were responsible for the deaths of 5 innocent civilians. I want to make sure we mention those names because they should be given the dignity of everybody knowing their names. That would be Father Noel Fitzpatrick, Margaret Gargan, John Dougal, David McCafferty, and Paul Butler.
Yeah, Michael, I was so glad when you wanted to bring this up because, this story is particularly relevant to the Ancient Order of Hibernians because the AOH has helped bring attention to these events through the work of the Freedom for All Ireland Committee, not only here in the United States, but in Ireland. It's a real passion project for all of the divisions in the AOH nationally. So I think it was worth bringing out and certainly a story that we need to follow.
Oh, yeah. And timely, too. I mean, so we're going to put a link to it in our show notes, but the AOH, the National AOH, recently did a webinar not that long ago, just a few weeks ago, where they had family members and individuals on to talk about the Springhill Massacre itself, what the inquiry was about and what the results of that inquiry was, and about how it's the responsibility of the British government to be open and honest and make the statement that those military personnel were wrong in their response. And because of that, five innocent victims were the outcome.
Right. While I don't think any of us will hold our breath on the honesty part of it. I think it's important that we do keep the British government honest, both from the United States and over in Ireland. I mean, it's been more than 50 years since these tragic events. And, while the apology represents an important acknowledgement, especially for the families, and it's important that we honor them, but these people, they've spent generations seeking recognition for what happened, seeking the truth. And, bringing it out is so important. And, whether it's this or any number of tragedies going back, we need to stay vigilant and make sure that the truth is coming out and that people are being held accountable and doing whatever we can to bring that about, again, on both sides of the Atlantic.
Right. And you brought it up too. I mean, a major part of the list of our missions as Hibernians is Freedom for All Ireland, and a big portion of that is justice. Justice for families, justice for individuals that just have been wronged over the course of generations now. We're that far removed from the troubles that you are generations removed, and those people are still dealing with the unknown and answers that haven't been given and responsibility not taken. And we've had long conversations on this show. We've had Don Mullen talk about Bloody Sunday and how that's still a fight to get the proper recognition and the proper, you know, statements that there were people's lives who were lost for out of choice, not because they were doing something they shouldn't have.
I agree. I mean, this is generational suffering. It's cross Atlantic suffering, and it's worth bringing up. And we're fortunate here in Massachusetts. We have one of our congressmen, Congressman Bill Keating. It's actually the congressman of the Plymouth division, has done a great job for the Freedom for All Ireland movement, and one of our own division members, John Sullivan, has been very active and keeps everybody abreast. So it's great for us, but for the folks watching, if you want to learn more, we'd encourage our listeners to check out the webinar through the Ancient Order of Hibernians YouTube channel. And I think, Michael, it's possible we can put a link to that in our show notes, right?
Yeah, definitely. Not only that specific webinar, but just the AOH YouTube channel in general, because there's several webinars that Freedom for All Ireland Committee has put out talking with activists and victims, and I think it's a great view, and it's very informational for not just members of our organization but the public as well. So yeah, definitely we'll put all that in the show notes.
Right.
Now, closer to home, our division, the Father John Murphy division, is excited to announce that we're going to be running an open house and new member information session on Saturday, June 27th from noon to 3 at Hibernian Hall in Cordage Park in Plymouth. And we've gotten a lot of traction since March, and a lot of inquiries about what we do and what our mission is. And I think this is a great way to welcome those people in, and anyone in, to have a discussion about, finding out more about what we do, and if becoming part of our community is a fit for them.
Oh, it's going to be a great day. And look, whether you're interested in Irish culture, history, genealogy, the charitable work that we do, or simply looking to connect in a fraternal way with a great group of guys, we'd love to meet you. So come on out. I think you'll enjoy our office over in Cordage Park. It's very historic. A lot of people who don't live in the Plymouth area really have never been there, and it's a nice place, and again, a great group of guys, and we have an excellent mission. I'm honored to be a part of it. Michael does an amazing job as president, and come on down and see if it's a good fit for you.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, the division continues to grow. Our impact with regards to our mission in the community continues to grow. I mean, we've had conversations before where I think what my recommendation would be for anyone listening in that ends up coming to the open house is that if you're interested in becoming part of the community, then really do it. Jump in with both feet and really get involved, because that's where it feels like you're really making a difference and you're really adding to it. And then you get 100% out of it what you put in. And I think that's a big common thread. When we get new members that might not stick around, I feel like it's because of that. Is they might feel intimidated to get involved because we are like a tight knit group that has big ambitions, and I think some people might get overwhelmed with that. But what I would say is, just if you have a passion, get involved in that. Get involved in that, and then that'll make it worthwhile.
I agree 100%. It's really one of those groups where you get out what you put in. And these days, there's no matter what you're interested in, there's something for you. I mean, if you want to get involved in the historical end of things, we have the two big events we have every year, the Brig St. John Memorial down in Cohasset and the Easter Rising event over in Scituate. Always look for people to help out with those events. We're heavily involved with the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail, which runs up
Yeah.
and down the South Shore. We're looking for new members for that group, and our development committee, our fundraising committee, or even if you just you want to come in and talk Irish history, or talk your Catholic faith is a part of it too. I mean, it's an Irish American men's Catholic group, and all of these things play a big part. But it's a lot of fun too. I mean, we have the boat cruise coming up. I know we're going to talk about that later. I'm not trying to steal the headline there, but that's a great time. And then to me, one of the biggest charitable events that the AOH gets involved in, and our division gets honored for it every year, is our food drive. And
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
day when all the guys get out and we're collecting food and interacting with the public and spreading it around to all the different food banks. I forget how many bags and boxes we had this year, but it was amazing, and we actually got an award for it, which is a cash award that we then turn around and purchase gift cards to Shaw's and Stop and Shop at Hannaford and all those places to give out to the local food bank. So there's so much that goes on. Yeah, come down, check it out, and maybe we'll even buy you a pint.
Yeah, there you go.
Or
And
better
one
yet,
more
you can buy
thing.
me one.
And one more thing, I would say, even if you're into sport, because Greg and I tried
Right.
very close to get a Irish road bowling league up and running, not because there was an interest. It really comes down to manpower, and we'll get into more headlines about what's going on our way, down our way between the division and the AOH as well as the trail. But we had all intentions of getting this league up and running, and a couple of major items fell in our lap that have really kept our attention away from that, unfortunately. So even if you're into sport,
Right.
if that's something, we're looking for a couple of people to get that up and running. All kinds of opportunities to really
Yeah,
dive in to your Irish culture.
absolutely. I mean, that's something we want to kickstart. And I would also point out that it's the South Shore AOH. So I mean, a lot of people think it's a group down there in Plymouth, and that is where we meet, and that's where the original division is from. But I mean, the events run up and down the South Shore from Weymouth all the way down to Plymouth. I mean, we just had Davy Holden, the Irish historian, came and gave a talk over in Weymouth. The road bowling, when we do get it started, is going to take place over in Hingham. So I
Right.
mean, there's that, and it's a broader group than just to say it's the Plymouth. Yeah, that
And every once in a while, you
we've
might find us
hijacked the
over
old
the bridge
triangle,
in
and Hyannis is
Hyannis.
kind of yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's
our new home away from home with our friend Des.
yeah. And basically that what Greg's getting at, which is true, is that the business office is based out of Plymouth, but our membership spans the entire South Shore and the Cape. So don't feel like you're too far away, because our events and what we have and what we're planning for the future is regional based, not just one single town. So, but we're
Right,
excited for
right.
that.
Can't
And
stress
then no,
can't
no,
stress that.
can't stress that. No. Um, and then next item, which Greg alluded to, is ticket sales have officially been put on for our annual cruise, which we're calling this year Craic on the Canal. If anyone can figure out why we named it that, then you got Captain Obvious in the room. But we've released tickets. It's going to be on Sunday, August 16th. The weather has always cooperated with us for that date. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the end. Make your end of summer plans now.
Yeah, definitely. It's a great event for everybody. We always do get the great weather, and this year, I mean, having Dave Try, who's just an incredibly charismatic performer, and not just of the the traditional music that we like so much, but a whole variety of music. It's going to be a great evening, and up and down the canal, and crack on the canal is very alliterative. I'll stand by that, but there is going to be a lot of crack, and it's again a family event. I don't know how many years we've had it, but it's never a letdown. And I think this is going to be our biggest year for ticket sales. I think it's going to be a an amazing night with having a guy like Dave play, and a chance to meet some people from all over who
Yeah,
are interested in having a little fun on an August night at the end of the summer. So
yeah, oh,
definitely
definitely.
urge people, check out. We're selling the tickets on Eventbrite, which is very sophisticated for us. So uh, plenty of options to buy tickets.
And I would say if our members are tuning in, take advantage of member discount to get it direct through the division at meetings. So I would recommend people show up to our business meeting in July and our business meeting leading up to August, and definitely show up, and we'll get you set up to get on the boat cruise. I really do think the tickets are going to go fast based on initial ticket sales after they went live. I don't think tickets are going to last until the day of. So definitely got them.
That would be great. So speaking of things we're excited about, so we're also excited to be heading to the inaugural Celtic Strength World Champions as part of the No Fame Games on June 13th. We're going to be talking to Josh Mackintosh later on, and we'll be who's the organizer of the event and a participant. And we'll be recording on location and bringing listeners behind the scenes of one of the most unique Celtic sporting events to come to New England.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We're going to be on location, recording live. We'll have more discussions with our guest today, Josh, about everything that's going on. But I would recommend people come to the event, come and find us. We're going to be recording all kinds of fun stuff, and I'm excited for something that's never happened before in our area.
No, it's gonna be great. I've seen some of the plans and some of the people who are involved, and it's really a broad cultural event too. They call it the Celtic Strength um, World Championships. So it's Irish, it's Scottish, it's Welsh. There's and obviously the American versions of that, and it's going to be great. And we'll be talking more about it, obviously, but from what I hear, I'm looking forward to hearing the inside details of it because I think it's going to be a great day.
Yeah, same here. Same here. I think that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to talk to Josh. Last item that
And
we
you
have.
gotta love a guy whose name is Josh Mackintosh, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Last bit of information that I would like to give out, because I want this podcast to really accentuate or really put light on what we do as Hibernians, not just nationally, but within our own division too. But every year we give out a scholarship that's named after one of our charter members, Dr. William O'Connell, and his wife Rita. So it's the Dr. Bill and Rita AOH Scholarship. And this year's winner, we just want to congratulate Tiernan Sheehan from Duxbury on winning that award. And that's a scholarship for him to take that money and use it towards starting off as a freshman in college next year. I love that we do this every year, Greg.
And I really enjoy when the students typically come back and join us at our AOH Christmas party. And we get to meet them and hear how their first semester at school went. And it's one of the many things you do in the AOH that really make you feel proud. And certainly something that has been ongoing. Again, I don't even know how long, but it's, each year the scholarship's awarded through, it's an essay competition. And unbelievably, anybody in the AOH who wants to judge an essay can judge it, if you met some of those guys. But we all get to take out our red pens, and we asked them to write about a person of Irish birth or Irish descent. Someone they know or maybe don't know who has had a meaningful impact on their lives. And they're always great essays, and they're all, it's always fascinating to hear from these young people and get their perspective on Irish history and individuals that they admire or even ones that they know.
Yeah, every year I thoroughly enjoy reading the essays. I mean, some are, there's the ones that you would expect, the ones about family members, and then there's ones that just really surprise you. Really surprise you, I guess, on the maturity level of some of these high school seniors and how they can put things in perspective. And I really enjoy reading those essays every year.
No, it is great. And, just we're grateful to all the students who have participated this year and in years past. We really enjoyed their thoughtful essays. And if you're a junior now and you live in Duxbury and you're planning on going to college after your senior year next year, please apply. We look forward to reading your essay in the future.
Yeah, and congratulations again to Tiernan Shan. We wish him all the best as he starts his collegiate, career going forward. So, from there, we're going to be done with Hibernian headlines. We're going to now transition to another new segment, Talk of the Trail.
Thank you, Michael. Welcome to the Talk of the Trail, where we share updates from the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail and highlight our efforts to preserve and promote Irish history throughout our region. It's good. It's a good time to talk about it. It's, the Irish Heritage Trail is 36 spots ranging from Weymouth all the way down to Plymouth. It's a digital trail. You can check it out at www.sSirishtrail.org. I almost got fired as my job of president for forgetting the website there, but have a look at it. There's a lot of information. Some of the sites are dedicated to Irish and Irish American folks from the South Shore. Some of it is location based, but it's really if you like Irish history, you like Irish culture, and you want to learn some things that maybe you didn't know, check it out. And it's definitely, we're growing, we're expanding, and it's been a great way to promote Irish culture across our region.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, growing and expanding, I think is you're being coy with that, because I feel like there have been a lot of events and um, acknowledgments that have happened as of late. I mean, to start off,
Right.
every year the government of Ireland puts together an international famine commemoration, and they've had it places all throughout the world. It's been in Boston, it's been in Chicago. This year in 2026, it happened right in our own backyard in Cohasset, Massachusetts. And I feel
Right.
like that is not a small item. That is not a byline in the news. That is a high profile item, to feel that the government of Ireland thought that an event that we commemorate every year is that much of an impetus, that they felt like they needed to have the International Famine Commemoration Day in Cohasset, Mass.
Yeah, it was amazing. And I remember the night, St. Patrick's weekend, we were at the Consul
Yeah,
General's St. Patrick's party, and they let us know we were going to be hosting it. And it, I can't speak for Michael, but I was fairly blown away. And I don't think I slept much that night, because the scope of it, having a minister from the government of Ireland come over and speak, and we're doing it right in Cohasset. We had to invite. We didn't have to. We were honored to invite so many of the folks from the South Shore to come. Um, and, be a part of it with people from literally all over the world, all over Massachusetts, the greater Boston area. Amazing turnout. State Senator Patrick O'Connor gave an amazing speech, and
Yeah.
State Rep Joe Moschino was read a poem, and the whole day was organized by the government of Ireland, and I was honored to be a part of it, and we're so thankful too to always to the government of Ireland to every year give a grant to the Social Irish Heritage Trail, the Immigrant Support Program, to support our efforts, and we couldn't do it without them. So having them come down, though, was something else. And the big focus was in Cohasset. They have the Brig St. John Memorial over in Cohasset Cemetery, which memorializes the Irish famine refugees who were lost in a shipwreck over on Grampus Ledge right off Cohasset Harbor. And it was such a meaningful day because it wasn't, we were able to honor those we lost, but also honor the New Englanders who helped rescue survivors and took care of those survivors and honored those who died. It was definitely a day for shared history, Irish American, New England history. And we finished up with a beautiful procession from the church over to the Brig St. John Memorial, where the AOH and the government of Ireland laid a wreath. So
Yeah.
the original memorial was built by the AOH and the LAOH. So we have incredible history, and we actually have a program there every year. So it's a spot on the trail. Check it out. You can go down there and see it for yourself. It's beautiful and not to be missed.
No, no. I mean, as an AOH member that represents, the South Shore, um, it means a lot that something that we have for 30 years now have made a point annually of commemorating and remembering and honoring not only the people that lost their lives, but the people that survived and the people that took care of those people. It's an honor that that place is put in significance on the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail. But speaking of trails, Greg, we have another huge announcement because the Brig St. John is not just going to be on the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail now. It's going to be on something even bigger.
No, Michael, exciting news, and thank you so much for allowing me to be the one to announce it. But the Brig St. John Memorial, which is on the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail in Cohasset, has been designated as a spot on the Global Irish Famine Way. So two things. You might not know about the Global Irish Famine Way, and you might not know about the Brig St. John disaster, but the Brig St. John disaster was back in 1849. It was a famine ship that sunk on Grampus Ledge right off of Cohasset Harbor, where 100+ lives were lost. 25 of them were children. And again, they were refugees from the famine. And it was one of the first sort of maritime disasters related to the Engortamor and here in the United States, and it was a real disaster and a real tragedy. But it's also an uplifting story because the Cohasset residents really went out of the way not only to rescue a lot of the survivors, but to take care of them afterwards and to honor the deceased, and have been, to this day, incredible stewards of the story, either through their maritime museum or, the Historical Society. A lot of people, and we'll talk about this more, in Cohasset are really aware of that part of the history. But the Global Famine Way is an extension of the National Famine Way, which is in Ireland, and it was it's a 165-kilometer walking trail, and it's waymarked by these memorials with a pair of bronze shoes. Now, Michael, you saw it firsthand last year, and you can speak to how moving it is, but it follows in the footsteps of 1,490 famine-stricken tenant farmers who were forced to walk from Strokestown to Dublin in 1847. That extension is now the Global Irish Famine Way, which was launched in 2024, and it's a 40,000-kilometer international heritage trail. And when we're done, it's going to be the longest heritage trail in the world, and it's connecting the National Famine Way in Ireland with routes in the UK, Canada, here in the United States, where I've been saying that we were the first honorees here in the United States. We're actually one of two. There's going to be another pair of bronze shoes in Staten Island, New Jersey. So we congratulate them and look forward to joining them in commemorating and honoring this important part of the history. But, the goal is to create that digital trail where people can see it online. Maybe they're at a spot in real time, and, they can access it through their cell phone and really feel like there's an actual connection, um, diaspora wise, from Ireland all around the world. And it's going to be amazing. There's stories, again, UK, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa. And I'm looking forward to being part of it, and certainly very, very honored. And I think it's going to be something that the South Shore could be very, very proud of. So again, Michael, thank you for your leadership through the AOH. And, I think it's going to be something that we're talking about for a long, long time. We're certainly going to talk a lot about it on this show too. It was something else, and a real honor.
I will say this, that I also want to give kudos to the town of Cohasset. They have
Oh
really
yeah.
been on board. I mean, when we had the 175th, the Maritime Museum and the Historical Society came out and was a great help and hosted some of our events during that weekend. They have been, excuse me, they have been part of this process, because, as anyone could imagine, with an international recognition such as this, and to be given a spot on the trail, there's definitely, there's red tape, and there's applications, and there's forms, and there's processes. And the town of Cohasset has been on board with everything that we've done so far. So I really want to give a shout out to the town of Cohasset and their historical society.
Absolutely. I mean, the community itself really has been the keeper of that history, going all the way back to, the 1849 wreck. Not only were the residents key in rescuing survivors and caring for them, and making sure that the lives that were lost, the 99 people um, died in the shipwreck, and they were buried and taken care of, and memorialized eventually. And the folks over in Cohasset have been a part of it for 176 years now, and they certainly couldn't have been better throughout all of this. We've been meeting with the various boards and groups, and the support has been amazing. And what I love is the awareness that they have over there of the disaster and of the history behind it. It's really something else, and they definitely are a big part of it, and we would never have even dared do it without them. So I think it's
No, no.
I'm
And I
glad
think it's going to be
I'm glad
great.
you said that, Michael.
I think it's going to be great, because even having discussions with them as this process has gone, it's made the people at the Historical Society and the Maritime Museum kind of think, for anyone that has never been, which I'm sure there's a lot of people that would watch this that would be outside of the Cohasset area that really don't have a lot of knowledge on the Brig St. John. We'll put links to where you can find information and actually see YouTube videos done by Catherine Shannon on the history of the Brig St. John. But at the Maritime Museum, they have several artifacts from the shipwreck. And it's funny,
Right.
because, speaking of them, they don't necessarily know, or they don't, or it's so far removed, they don't know how they got their hands on them. So this whole process has put a fire under them to be like, you know what, we should celebrate this. Let's find out how the Historical Society got their hands on the artifacts that they have. And maybe someone else in town has something else. Um, that's an artifact from the shipwreck that they might not even be aware that they have it. I mean, 9 times out of 10, stuff like that happens when, when you find historical contextual items, so.
What a windfall that would be. I mean, just last year they dredged up that gigantic anchor that they believe was the anchor from the Brig St. John, and they found it
Yeah,
right over in the harbor. And you can have a look at that if you want to see it in Cohasset Center. It's actually mounted on a wall next to the Maritime Museum, and it was incredible. It was timely. They discovered it right before our 175th event, and but to see it and think about, like, not only that artifact, but the captain's desk that you can look at right in the Maritime Museum from the Brig St. John, and they had a traveler's box that we take out and use it for the Brig St. John event every year.
yeah,
It's a big part of the event, the mass over at St. Anthony's, and it's very meaningful. So if anybody did have anything else, even if you just suspect it might be related to the shipwreck, reach out to the Historical Society and let them know, because I mean, I think that would be amazing, timely again with the
yeah. And preservation, I
the
mean,
bronze shoe announcement.
preservation's so important, like you were saying. If the Historical Society didn't have the records that they have on the event and what happened and what transpired afterwards from, journals and diaries, things of that nature, the story would be nowhere near as fleshed out as it is. All you would know is just the shipwrecked off the coast of Cohasset. You would have no other information after that. And that history that they have and the story they have, that's what really, honestly, true. I really think that's what got its place on the Global Irish Famine Way, is how fleshed out the story is.
Right. No, the Historical Society over there are incredible stewards of this history. And, the Maritime Museum, amazing, custodians of these actual artifacts. And then, the anchor, um, mounting it in a way that people can see it. It's something else. And I think that, Michael, you wrote most of this application, you and Dr. Shannon, and I think you guys did a great job getting that across, how kind of special of a place um, Cohasset is, and how big of a part it is of, the history of the shipwreck of, the Brig St. John. And, not only is there local history, though, what's amazing about it is, there's international um, relevance too, because you had Henry David Thoreau and Ellery Channing
Yeah,
um, were firsthand witnesses. They got off on the train on the way to Cape Cod. We all know about Thoreau's book Cape Cod, and they saw the whole thing. They saw, not to be dark. They saw, the bodies, and they saw the actual shipwreck, and the debris coming ashore, and Thoreau talks about it.
uh-huh,
So the the story itself is special, and it has a place in history. And we could talk about the tragedy it was that they had to leave, these refugees had to leave Ireland at all, and those reasons why. And I'll spare you that today, but it's amazing. And the idea that we've been honored in this way, by we, I mean the entire region, is amazing. Because I mean, Michael, you saw the famine way in Ireland, you and some of the other guys, and incredibly meaningful and big parts of history. And when we say the bronze shoes, they actually award you with a cast of a pair of bronze shoes, which are based on a pair that they found along the Irish famine way from a child who had left them behind. And, that becomes part of a memorial that's identical to memorials now in Ireland, in Canada, Staten Island here in the United States, undoubtedly more places. Um, you name a state in the United States, they probably have a tie-in to the famine story. So it's going to be part of just a gigantic story and remembrance, and something that's going to bring the diaspora together worldwide and bring them back, in a real figurative way, um, full circle trail back to Ireland, and just absolutely an honor. So stay tuned because we're going to need some help too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And we'll be sharing updates on the placement. And I really hope not just placement, but also educational initiatives that we're going to connect to this. Because I think it's a great opportunity with the awareness that's going to be brought to it regionally and beyond regionally. Um, it's a great opportunity to educate about the famine, about the impact. And like you said, Greg, there's probably not a state in this country that was not impacted by the Great Hunger in Ireland and the forced immigration that it caused. So I think it's a great opportunity for us to educate more on that because if you don't educate and you don't tell the stories, then they're just forgotten.
Yeah, and I personally, I'm looking forward to the ties that the having this memorial here on the South Shore is going to make, make for us nationally and internationally as well. I mean, was an amazing honor when Carolyn Callery from the Strokestown Museum in Ireland and the National Famine Way in Ireland was the one who announced the Brig
Yeah.
St. The award of the bronze shoes to the Brig St. John Memorial at our Easter Rising event, the AOH Easter Rising event over in Scituate. I mean, they're the ones who started all of this, and here we are at this kind of endpoint of it, and Jim Callary was there too, and he spoke, and it was just an amazing weekend for the South Shore and certainly for the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail. Couldn't have been
Right.
done without the great partnership between the AOH and the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail too. I think that played a big part in it too. So
Yep.
um, earlier in the show, we were talking about joining the AOH. Consider it. This is the kind of things we have going. And, if you're interested in getting involved in the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail, we're starting a development committee. We're starting a fundraising committee. We're looking for people to get involved. Reach out to us. Let us know if you have skills along those lines. We'd love to have you because this is going to be a big job. It's very important that we do it the right way too. So we're going to need all the help we can get.
You beat me to the punch on that. That's exactly what I was gonna
Okay.
segue into. No, no, no. I was just thinking of something like that's a great way to tell people you should join the AOH. Look at what we're doing. Look what you could be involved with. So, which is true. It really
So
is.
much.
Like we were talking about, when you jump in with both feet, you get to experience fulfilling items like this, and initiatives like
Yeah.
this. And I think there's no downplaying that. We're very lucky that we get to play a cog in in a role in what's going on right now.
No, it's great. It's great. And it's open. We need all the help we
Yeah.
can get.
Yep. So we've been speaking a lot about preserving traditions, celebrating culture. I think it's about time we get to our guest today, which is Josh Mackintosh. So let's get to that interview. Tonight's guest is someone helping to build something really unique here in New England, blending Celtic heritage, athleticism, community, and culture into an event that's rapidly growing. And something unprecedented is going to happen in the state of Massachusetts next month on June 13th. Um, it's all about the No Fame Games. And joining us right now is founder of the No Fame Games, Josh Mackintosh. Welcome to Crack on the
Yeah.
Coast.
Yeah, guys, thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here and love you guys and what you're doing and can't wait to talk about what we got going on June 13th.
No Fame Games has been around for a couple of years, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like you have a culmination period happening next month into
Yeah.
something that I don't, I'd be interested to hear your background on if you thought that's where you were going to end up when you started the journey.
Yeah, definitely not. So in 2021, we started as just a bunch of kind of like hooligans, Highland Games throwers, and throwing out of the back of the Chelmsford High School as like what we call a backyarder, just because we were missing the camaraderie and the community of throwing in the Scottish Highland Games and heavy events. And and there was a real need for it. The festivals were kind of crashing or non-existent, and yeah, man, like it's definitely a culmination this year that I would not have seen in 2021 where we are going necessarily with it this year. But at the same time, I know that it's the right thing, and all the right people are coming together. And we're even that we're sitting down and having this conversation is just proof that we're on the right track of this cultural preservation and enrichment, for the Celtic heritage sports, for Celtic culture, arts, language, all of it. And but yeah, definitely, I don't think I would have thought that this is where I'd be at right now, with this. And there's so much to get into. So you lead me through how you want to unravel and unpack this amazing Celtic present we got coming out on June 13th.
Well, Josh, one thing I always love, and it's through your social media or different times I've heard you guys speak, is when you talk about this with such passion, but you're coming at it from this spot of cultural preservation and growth and,
Yeah.
historic respect and things like that. Is that what inspired this concept, or what would you say was your real inspiration beyond, getting together? Um,
Well, one I would say is becoming a father and trying to understand what it is in my heritage. I have Irish, Scottish, Breton, Cornish, as well as like French, and I'm a mutt. But what I know of and what has always been a sense of pride in my own family was our Scottish and Irish blood, our Celtic blood. And when my wife had our son, who just turned 10, we were really trying to figure out like how are we going to pass on things that matter to him. And my wife, she's from Brockton. She doesn't like me saying that. She's a tough lady from she's Boston Irish, Brockton. And so she knows, like, she's rough around the edges, but she's beautiful and all those wonderful things, my love, as she's listening. But it was that kind of like, how do we give something to our son that can be something that we also get to learn more about in the process? And how can we also just carry this on? Because at least from my point of view and the athletic side, that not that it was dying, but it was just, it didn't have as much of that like grit and umph and backing. And it used to be on ESPN, at least for the Scottish Highland Games. And then when I started really diving into the history and learning more of Scots Gaelic and Gaelic, that I really was like, this is all interrelated and connected, and that this is a beautiful Celtic tree that we need to honor and give proper respect to, and go into the different root systems and the different branches, and that we're all related in this Celtic heritage tree. And I thought that was, at least for me in my craziness or my form of craziness, I thought that was really beautiful. And it allowed me space to dive into my own roots and to rediscover and understand things. And also, not just as like a crazy Yankee, but who's a gun ho Yankee who just, going to do their own thing in their own way, but really try to use social media and outreach to federations and organizations in Ireland, in Scotland, in the Celtic nations to say, hey, come and teach us, come be a part of this. This is a genuine, real thing that we want to preserve, that we want to enrich, that we want to help grow, all of that. And then it was just a matter of, that kind of magnetic energy of things coming together and the right people coming together. And that's really what's happening on June 13th, is just this creative mentality and brainstorm and think tanking of how can we bring all of these amazing things together all in one party and celebrate each other and have fun and have the crack and just like make a real go at it, and I think that that's really what the foundation was. And then it's just a matter of believing and trusting and being around, surrounding yourself with the right people. And I think that's really what made me, dive in more. And again, why we're at where we're at today. Yeah.
that might be one of the best answers anyone's ever given on the history of this show, Josh. So I love it. I love it. And
Oh,
it's
thanks,
no
man.
surprise, too,
Yeah.
hearing you speak, and how passionate you are that you've made all these international, national, statewide contacts and partnerships. Now it's all coming together, and I got to tell you, I'm really looking forward to it. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have a hard time when we go out and do the show at things, and you have to stay in one spot. Mike will
Yeah.
tell you I don't always succeed, but I think this might be my hardest challenge yet. It sounds like there's just going to be so much going on.
Yeah.
One thing that I love about all of it, and Greg and I have had conversations with people about things such as the Irish language, and we come from an ancient people. I guess is a very like good way to put it,
Totally.
And there's a huge revival right now about just our ancient roots, our ancient language, our ancient sport, and all of it really just gets you back to the land and back to really literal roots.
Yeah.
And I just find that fascinating with regards to this language and everything that's going on right now.
That's really well said. And this is what I really find so fascinating about the Celtic nations is our connection to land, our connection to heritage, our connection to the language and the people. And it and being connected with people like David Keown, the Indiana Stones, and his journey and what he's been doing, and the RTE documentary Made of Stone that came out, and us being crazy enough to freight a stone from the Copper Coast in Ireland to Boston as a bridge of strength. That was his original lifting stone before he went on this 4-year journey through the Douglas archives and researching. It's not even just about like the physical feat of strength and man lift stone and caveman type stuff. It was really about the people and the stories and the connection to land, and that these stones were kind of like you know um, are like local sports teams that people would go to, and all the all the local villagers would go gather around this one stone, whether it was with mass or whether it was at a funeral games or whatever, and they would lift this stone, and the people that lifted it, would be these champions of the community, and how connected and intertwined the community is, and it's just seeing that it's just so beautiful. And then also with the language and like Irish with Molly or Davy Holden and all those guys, it's just like in the history, and it's just so beautiful seeing this come from so many different angles, even like kneecap, and like the hip-hop
Yeah.
angle too. It's so fascinating. And we actually just got back from Ireland for the first time 2 weeks ago, and I went over there for the Hill of Ushnak Bealtaine ceremony and fire festival, and because it's very Celtic, and we know a lot of the kind of connected with the people, and David was presenting there, and then also Owen, the woodworker, the Irish woodworker who was really popular on Instagram, and met him, and it was just like, man, it was so fascinating being around the land. And my wife too, it sounds so corny, but she can be reserved in her own way, and but being there and being connected back to the land, it was like she was finding a piece of herself, and we were both finding a piece of ourselves, and we had to share that with our son. And Ushnak is at right next to the Catstone, which is I understand is considered the both the physical and spiritual center of Ireland, and that an
Right.
old Irish goddess is buried underneath that cat. It's just like, and going to the Catstone during the celebration and seeing the people go around it, and kind of in veneration almost as like a core part of Irish identity and history. And it was all of the, and then you go down, we went to visit David in Waterford, and like he takes us to this dolmen that's 5,000 years old, and there's no one there. It's just in the middle of a field, and there's no one there. And I'm like, this is crazy, like to see this ancient structure that's 5,000. It's just, God, we just felt like at home, and we felt it was our duty to now, especially, to try and rally the Irish diaspora and rally the Celtic diaspora to come to not just our games like to support us as No Fame Games, like that doesn't matter really to us. It's about supporting all of these people coming for the Irish collar and elbow revival that mirrors the Irish stone lifting, that mirrors this what is Celtic strength cultural panel with Harvard University, with Boston University, with Boston College, and Vivian Sayers, and like all these different people in the Celtic world. It's like, why not bring all these people together and have this amazing party that can educate and that we can display how amazing we are as Celts, but also how amazing we are as people, and that we're connected to this, to this sacred tree, I guess is one kind of woo-woo way to say it, but that's how I feel. So, yeah.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch because I was following you guys. I was following another acquaintance of mine who was at Ishnook, and I was blown away
Yeah.
by what seemed like an unreal experience. It made me want to get on a plane and go. It seemed like one hell of a time.
It really was. It's really hard, kind of hard to put into words, but what you both said about that connection to land. And I think that, I mean, I can just speak for myself. I'm a third culture kid. So I grew up in an island called St. Croix in the Caribbean. I went to high school in Italy, in Rome, Italy. I lived in Europe and in Thailand for about 9 years. I worked as a private chef. So, like, my connection to place and land and heritage has just been kind of all over the place. But being connected to these people and understanding that this is a part of who I am and identity, and then experiencing that in person, like at Ushnak with these people, it was just like, it was really like a coming to God moment, or a coming to whatever moment, of understanding more of myself, and something that has been missing. And I feel like that's what I'm really excited about. All of these people coming together on June 13th in Milford for this very similar thing, and that people can, whether you're Irish or Celtic or not, like, it's just so amazing. Like, there's something really alive and energetic right now with this Celtic, especially Irish revival. And I feel like it's just all happening, and it's in the flow, and it's so cool. I really hope you guys can make it to Ushnak. It's a really amazing ceremony, and really good people, really well run too.
Nice.
That sounds absolutely amazing, and
Yeah.
I'm jealous that you were there, and I was following along too. But one thing I wonder, and we're gonna have to have another show about why Josh lived in so many different places. That's probably gonna be a totally different topic, because now I
Yeah.
need to know. But from your time in Ireland and then coming back, and all the time you spent planning the upcoming event,
Yeah.
what did you feel like you needed to make any changes to the upcoming program after seeing what was going on over in Ireland, or did anything you saw over there kind of recommend itself to what you were planning over here?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There were a few. We definitely got inspired. I think particularly one thing that really stood out among many things, was the kids station and the youth station, and what they did with these really intricate, beautiful wood carvings that they turned into these really unique, kind of mind games that you'd have to put marbles in certain things, and you'd see it make out like it would run down these wood shafts that would have bells in them. And it was just this, it was part of the land, it was this experience of, or how should I say, like, experience festival culture, of where the people participants, or the festival goers come in, and it's not just like sit down and watch a show. It's, how can I experience something, or be a part of this festival. And that, for us, we felt like an increased sense of responsibility to be better cultural ambassadors, and to also, even, we have good communication, but even like develop and dive into even more communication with those Irish federations and organizations and people there, to say, hey, what can we do to make sure that we're being authentic here? That, yeah, we have like a big vision, and sometimes things can get lost, obviously with more commercial, but we really want to keep that authenticity and to keep it really accessible. And that's what I really loved about the Hilavushnak, especially the Bieltana festival, was it was just really accessible and it was really connected to the land. It wasn't like a lot of frill and a lot of how do you say, like a lot of just showboatery. It was a lot
Mm.
of beautiful colors and a lot of flags, but it seemed ancient as well as modern, if that makes sense. And we really felt like it was we needed to dive into looking at the experience of it, not just as like for athletes by athletes, because we have like literally some of the best athletes in the world coming June 13th. But it's also like, how can we also jump in with like, we just got sponsored by Guinness. So we're going to have a beer garden and we're going to have, like involving, that kind of aspect of the Irish culture and community, but also the kind of ancient, archaic, um, timeless experience of stone lifting or of the collar and elbow that goes back, hundreds, if not 1,000+ years. And so it's really like just looking at it from the aspect of being a better cultural ambassador and being an empty cup too, to listen to people and listen to the Irish, leaders to say, hey, this is what this is a good idea. Let's do this. And so I'm all about the roundtable approach and really trying to bring everyone together so that we all rise. It's really about, a rising tide lifts all boats. And that's what we're trying to do.
That's awesome.
It's
Yeah.
That
amazing.
we talked about a lot of the background, the inspiration for it. Now let's talk about the event a little bit itself.
Yeah.
You guys, it's inaugural. It's the
Mhm.
Celtic Strength World Championships. So
Yeah.
when people show up, I guess what should people expect with regards to the format, how things are going to go?
Yeah.
Because there is going to be competition as well.
Totally. Really, really high level. It's hard to even like just, I'm excited, I'm enthusiastic. But if you really don't understand it until you're there and you're really seeing these giant men and women throwing 56, 28 pounds, these world record distances, or a telephone pole from the Scottish side, and then also the strongman side. We have what's so amazing about our event that's really unique in it being the inaugural Celtic Strength World Championship is we have essentially four championships that'll be running pretty much simultaneously. We're going to stagger it a little bit so that people can kind of walk around the field and experience a little bit of everything. But so for the one competition that was our backbone, it's the Scottish Highland Games. So there's 9 events. That's kind of like track and field meets strongman and kilts. It's like a decathlon, but with 9 events. And so we're actually helping to launch a new professional league. And so there are at least 5 people coming that are capable of breaking world records. So I would expect to see
Wow.
a world record broken on the fields on June 13th, and at least one, if not 2 or 3 events. So there's like a shot put. So it's a 16-pound natural stone that you can spin or you can glide. There's the weight for distance. There's the caber toss. So that's the telephone pole that kind of everyone knows about. There's the sheaf toss, which, fun fact on that I just found out. And when we visited Ireland, we reached out to and met the people who run a game called the Dagda Games, and that's very similar to what we're doing. And they're actually hosting their Dagda Games on in Ireland at an old castle 2 weeks after us. And so in talking to them, I'm going on this tangent because I think it's fascinating that actually the Irish also have a sheaf toss, and I didn't know that. And so what's fascinating is that everyone in the Scottish Highland Games world thinks that the sheaf toss comes from the U.S., but I guess the Irish have it as well. So I'm really interested to hear more about the background to that event and its potential Irish roots. So we're going to have that, and then there's the hammer throw, which is really popular in the Scottish tradition. And so there'll be about 60 athletes competing in that in those 9 events, and then there'll be let's see, probably about like 20 really high elite level pros that'll be competing in that throughout the day. Then the second championship is called the Team Highlander. And that's where teams of barbell clubs from all around New England form, and then they go to battle at each other in 5 different events. So you have like a truck pull, you have a wagon wheel deadlift, we have a caber for distance, so you throw the telephone pole for distance. And that's really amazing because it's people from all walks of life. It's a little more strongman, related, but what I really have loved about that and seeing that grow also with the first responder team is that it's really the community and that people have to work together, and it really, by watching it, you feel inspired to have that camaraderie and have that community. And so I'm really looking forward to that event also because we have some like very high level professional strongmen and women coming. But really getting into now the more Irish stuff is we have the return of Irish collar and elbow wrestling after 100 years of dying away in New England. And this is a really special thing that collar and elbow, my understanding of it and talking with people in the Collar and Elbow Federation that's just been formed, and also a man named Ruan McFadden, who you guys got to have on your podcast. He's the man who wrote the book on collar and elbow and has really, he's like the godfather of this revival. And so we're going to be hosting the Northeast Championship of Irish Collar and Elbow. And we're working also in promotion with a company called Cage Titans, which is actually out of Plymouth. I don't know if you guys would know them. They're on the South Shore, but they're a really big MMA promotion. And so they're not really like, they're just trying to help us promote it because they see the value in these heritage sports and traditions, and that, George Washington used to practice Irish collar and elbow wrestling. That's a pretty like amazing fact. And then it died out about 100 years ago when catch wrestling got on the scene. And what I think is fascinating is you go back in these records in like New York and Vermont and Boston, is there's these collar and elbow used to fill stadiums. It was like the original super sport. And a lot of people don't really know that, and because it just died out. So we're like super excited to be working with Nathan Featherstone of Dublin, and the Rambling Kern is the martial arts center that he runs in Dublin, and then a man named Tom Higgins, who's a 3-time catch world champion out of Chicago. And so they formed the new Collar and Elbow Federation, and that's going to be the Northeast Championship. And so there's people coming from all over the world for this. People coming from Brazil for the. It just like kind of blows my mind. That we're able to be this container for this to happen. And as the Irish collar and elbow is happening, then there's also the stone lifting. And then David Keown is coming back. We, worked with him last year, as I said, to freight his lifting stone over his 254-pound stone through DHL, which was a wild experience. And then learning how to go through basically getting a customs broker and what does that even mean, and like, oh my god. And then and so working with that, and then seeing his journey with the parallels with the Irish revival and culture, and the RTE documentary that came out, it was absolutely beautiful. I highly recommend it to everybody. And so there's that, and then there's crowd activation stations with fitness station. There's a Celtic village. There's vendors. There's the Charitable Irish Society will be there. Tom Mackey from the Area Society of Boston will be giving a speech, at the opening ceremony. It's just like
Very
I try
cool.
to think about how can I bring all of these people together and then have this cultural panel that we talked about too. I find I really think that that's gonna be really awesome to just bring these minds together. And so anyway, that's my thought word vomit out on you guys, and then we can kind of go through everything as you like. Yeah, yeah.
No,
There we go.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Josh, that was a lot, and everything you said, I liked more than the last thing you said.
yeah,
What an amazing description of an incredible event. I mean, I was thinking earlier in our conversation that I'm always, and Michael will tell you, everyone rolls their eyes at me. I'm always talking about how important it is within our Irish and Irish American community to bring people in and provide sort of a shared history or a shared
yeah.
perspective on our culture. But what you're doing at this event is galactically bigger than anything that I've ever
Yeah.
thought about in terms of exposing people, not just people of Celtic heritage, but all heritages.
Yeah.
You're talking about people from Brazil and the catch
Yeah.
wrestling, and I think anybody who comes is going to be blown away by what's going on, and is going to walk away at least with an appreciation of what our culture and our history is. But hopefully with an intent to go home and learn a little bit more about it, because I mean it is fascinating, and it sounds like, and I don't want to use a cliche or sound like I'm hucking for the Barnum and Bailey circus, but sounds like there's something for everybody at
They're
this event.
really
So
they're well.
and
That's like
and
totally.
having Guinness on board just
Yeah.
seals the deal. I
Yeah.
again, I'm super excited, Josh, and I hope anything I can do, anything we can do from down here to help you. Please let us know. This is going to be
Yeah.
amazing.
We just want you guys
So
to be. We want people to come, and yeah, Mike, please jump in. I'm going to keep talking. If you don't
no,
stop me. Yeah.
I was gonna say is so for everybody to know, we are gonna be there on
Yeah.
June 13th. We're gonna be there. We're gonna be recording. We're gonna take some footage. We're gonna interview a lot of the people. The question I have is does Greg have to sign a waiver form before he tries to pick anything up?
Everyone has to sign a
Yeah,
waiver form
is there
before anyone touches anything. Yeah. Yes.
waiver form or not? The bad news for Michael is he's not going to get a lot of work out of me on this day. I guarantee it. 'Cause I don't know how you're
Well,
going
that's
to
the
keep me
point.
in
You
my
gotta
seat.
you gotta take the camera. You gotta be mobile, and you gotta go around because the field it's a pretty big field, guys. Like it's not massive, but
Sure.
it's big enough that where everything is spread out. I can send you guys the layout too, and we'll be posting it a little bit more. But how it really is. People need to walk around. People need to go support the vendors, support the organizations that are coming. Like it's really just more people need to know about it. And it's again, to my own demise, it's not a moneymaker for us. Like that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it is just what you said, of inspiring people to be there and be like, it's amazing to be human, it's amazing to have a body, it's amazing to like have these practices that we can come together and like be alive in the world together. And also, of course, that these have Celtic heritage. And for the Boston Irish, the New England Celtic world, or just even like the martial art world, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, any type of martial art, it doesn't really matter. The Muay Thai, it doesn't matter. Like people coming together and celebrating each other and being stronger to be better, to lift each other up. Like it really is that Irish idiom of "Ní níor go cuila chéile," of there is no strength without unity. And that's like our main root motto of we are better together. And it's not just me, it's not just Josh, there's like a team, and I'm just this crazy guy with a white beard, talking about this to you guys and trying to spread the good gospel of, the Celtic strength. And it's like, this has made me a better man. Stone lifting has made me a better man. These Celtic heritage sports, learning more about the Celtic languages and how language, because I living in other places, and how languages change your thinking. They change how you view the world. They change how you see things and you see relationships. And that's really what this event is about. Is about us all coming together and celebrating our culture and New England together, because sport is universal. Like what we're practicing can be practiced by anybody. You don't have to be Irish. You can come and party, and there's a lot of people who do not have Scottish or Irish heritage who just love the party that we're going to throw. And then, it just so happens that it's also on the same day that Scotland returns to the World Cup at Gillette Stadium, 25 minutes away from
Yeah.
us, 9 p.m. at night.
Right.
So there's talk of like
That's right.
40,000 Scots coming into the area, and we're trying to steal as many Scots as we can away from Gillette, to have the Irish and Scottish come together, baby. And we're gonna party. We're gonna have the best crack that's this side of the Mississippi. Yeah.
So, Josh, one thing I've been thinking about too, while we've been speaking, how do you balance out something that is so sort of primal, like the athletic nature of what you're doing here, with something that is more laid back and sort of academic in terms of the understanding of the culture behind the sport that we're looking at, because I mean everything's a story, and we always talk about storytelling. How are we able to best describe people one event at a time, how it started, what the history might be. Are there any resources you can recommend around that?
Yeah, I would recommend people and storytellers, the Shanachie. I would recommend people like Eddie Lanahan or like David Keown, or I'd recommend, Irish with Molly or Davey Holden. Like though I would recommend those listening to your podcast, getting to know people. And so a funny story, one of many, when we went to Ireland with David, and David is like, my wife calls him her little leprechaun because, and I know that that's kind of like derogatory, and I can get smacked around for that, but it was funny because he's just so alive and bubbly and fun, and just like magic happens around him. Is just like this lucky charm, and just things just happen around him. And so we were in Waterford, and he was taking us to a few of these sites, and one of them was a stone that they don't know how old it dates back, but it has the old Ogham writing, the ancient Celtic script writing on it, and it's just out in this field, and it's just like you see these, and it's in Irish, the language, and so you it's like you're in this physical presence of this thing that dates back and has history and is real. It's not just in a book. It's not just something that the British tried to kill or to take out, or to colonize. That it's surviving, and it has this resilience and reality to it. And and there's also just like this element of what seems, in my small experience, is just the Irish people going into the pub, having a Guinness, talking with David, and then this old man is right across the table, and we just start having these conversations about the history of the town and like stories, and it's just this beautiful, like ebb and flow of culture and language and life and way of life and way of thinking. And I think that, like, it goes back to that metaphor of the Celtic tree, the famous Celtic tree of life, that all of these things are interconnected, and the more a person can understand that, yes, it's important to be strong, or lift stone, or throw telephone pole, but there's so much more to the history and the heritage, that when you just take a step back and you have a sense of self-awareness, and also age too, like the older you get and the more your body is creaky and cranky, and you can't throw the stone as far as you like. It makes you reflect more on what is the bigger picture here, and why is it important for community and people to put effort into community and heritage so that it survives. And I understand that a lot better now, having done this, and I understand the larger organizations in New England, and I understand the pressures that they have to go through, and we operate kind of outside of that because of how we're set up. And I think that there's room for everybody. But going back to your question, really, is just like, get out, get off the phone, get off the internet, and go talk to people, and go in and have, like, meet you guys and have conversations, or be on your phone and listen to the Crack on the Coast, or like do something that is making you feel more alive and connected to land, place, yourself, your heritage. And that's really helped me a lot, I think, and in this journey of trying to be a really good steward of these practices and these traditions, that I have a weight on my shoulders, and our team does, to really present this and help everyone come together in the right way, so that we don't butt heads, but we come together and embrace each other and support each other, and make this the amazing experience it's going to be. People just got to come and see it.
Mission accomplished on being the good steward, Josh. I'll tell you. This
Thanks.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, that that is the reason why, like, I came up with the idea for the podcast,
Yeah.
was being able to sit down and have conversations with people who are just as passionate about the culture, the history, the heritage as we are. And Greg can attest to this. I mean, the conversation, like you said, Josh, just conversation. And having those conversations has given us insight into not just our culture and heritage, but into people as well.
Yeah.
And it's been an absolutely great ride so far. And meeting people like you and being involved in
Yeah.
events like that are going to be on June 13th, it's just like you said, there's room for everybody. And like when at the Hibernians, when people join, I tell everybody, you just got to jump in with both feet.
Yeah.
Like you can't get intimidated. You can't
Yes.
be worried
Exactly.
about how you're going to look. You just got to
Yeah.
jump in with both feet, because when you do and you let it all kind of shower all over you, it's going to
Yeah.
change your life.
That is so, Mike. That is, I cannot like back that up enough. Like the kind of baptism by fire, but not in like in an angry or aggressive way. It's like just jump in, just don't be shy, just get in there. And that's what I love about these sports is like, or these heritage traditions. It's just like just get in there. Like it's okay to suck. It's not like, or
Yeah,
it's okay to be an awkward when having a conversation. You know, like it's awkward sometimes to go up to like at least for me as an introvert, like to go up and have a conversation with you guys, like, you know, but there's something that you just by doing it, it helps you find that connection to yourself. And that's why we're even having this conversation, right? Is like we share that connection and that love with our culture and with our heritage. And it's just like that's what's alive right now in the Irish world. And we, man, people, it's just like jump on board, guys, because you're in for a party. Like with you guys and the Crack on the
yeah,
Coast and what we're doing June 13th, like it's gonna be a party. So just come and party with us, you know?
yeah,
This
Yeah.
there's so much going on these days with the cultural and the heritage and your expansion is amazing around the sporting events and I follow you guys on social media obviously and I'm
Thank
always
you.
I look forward to the Instagram
Yeah.
especially because it's always something I didn't know they were into that and
Yeah.
I was thinking about it this morning. I said we're going to be talking to these guys this afternoon, but this is funny. But yeah, I couldn't agree more. There's so much going on. You
Yeah.
can't possibly get into it, and if you're going into it with a full heart and you want to
Yeah.
learn and you want to share and grow and meet some people, you're going to come out with a good experience, and that's I think it's impossible not to. And more and more, it's all these groups are coming together. I mean, you're talking about some of the folks that you speak with and worked with, and they're the same people we've had on the podcast
Yeah.
right,
or
Exactly.
we just 2 weeks ago were fortunate enough to have the Irish government down in Cohasset at one of our
Yeah.
memorials for the International Famine Commemoration. Who was
Yeah.
there? The Irish Society and Charitable Irish, and groups
Yeah.
groups that are going to be there at
Yeah.
your event. So I mean, it really is a nice coming together, and it's I think you've really grabbed onto something here, and I've enjoyed watching it grow, and I think it's coming to fruition. It's going to be amazing.
Thanks,
yeah.
brother.
So
Yeah.
for people, so just so that we're going to put all the links in the
Yeah.
show notes, and we're going to put it on our social. We're always sharing posts from the No Fame Games social media. But the day of the 13th, is it a ticketed event? If it is, can people get tickets in advance, or is it like at the gate? Or give us a little detail on what they should expect or what they should plan
Totally.
on doing.
Yeah, totally. So it is a ticketed event. You can get tickets through our website of www.nofamegames.com, and you can purchase them in advance. We have a ticketing platforms that we use, and that it again, it just goes to support everyone coming in. You know, it's an expensive show, and we're trying
Yeah,
to do right by everybody. Um, and so that's one way, and then you can just show up, you know, and we're going to be there rain or shine. Like this is happening, and we're going to have our tents, we're going to have our setup, the fencing's going to be there, we're going to have our beer garden, Guinness is going to be there. We're working with Jean at the Black Harp, Traveling Irish Pub. So she's going to be
oh,
there. We
cool.
have a food trucks. We have food vendors. I work again as a private chef, so I try to vet the food trucks to make sure that they're really good. So we have BT Smokehouse. I'm really excited about those guys. And then it's just we just need the people. So definitely nofamegames.com is the way to go. You can follow us on social media. Instagram is where we're a little more popular. and that's at No Fame Game without the S. Someone else took it, so we just got the game. And yeah,
Ah,
we post all our stuff there, and we try to keep people on their toes. We want to keep people to say, hey, like, what are these guys up to next? And like, how can, it's really just that level of excitement. It's just, bringing people together.
Yeah. I'm so excited for the 13th, excited for the game, but I'm also excited for us. Greg, we're gonna
Yeah.
be like all over the place. I'm excited to like be, in person with David and talk to him about his journey.
Yeah.
I think it would be absolutely a missed opportunity for us not to get involved in a little bit of the collar wrestling. I'm not picking up a
Yeah.
stone. I don't want a hernia. But I could probably do some collar wrestling. I could probably be down for that.
You
yeah. I
totally
mean,
can. And
Josh,
I'm going to,
is there?
yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry, Josh. Is there an old boy division I can sign up for some of the stone lifting and whatnot? I mean, I'm thinking,
So,
I'm in my 50s, but if I could compete with the 60-year-olds, that would be pretty good.
so and this is something I think is really important for the audience or the viewers to understand is the stone lifting station. When you go up there, you start with a small stone. You don't start with the clock bond, the 254-pound stone. So David will be there. The person who inspired David in Scotland, Martin Janzik, will be there too. This year, we freighted over his original lifting stone from 2011 before he started lifting stones. So we're going to have the Irish and Scottish bridges, actual pieces of the motherland there for people to, touch or people to be connected to. But when you go up to the stone lifting station, obviously you sign a waiver, and then you start by progressing little by little, and Martin and David, and then there's also some massive leaders in the stone lifting world who teach you. They go one-on-one. They teach you technique. They teach you the proper alignment, how to use your leverage, how to brace, how to breathe properly, how to, and if you're not doing it right, they'll stop you and say, hey, okay, you need to backtrack. Because it's about safety, it's about the experience, and it's about passing on the tradition. It sounds like it's just a stone, but it's really it's not just a stone. Like this culture and tradition, particularly of stone lifting in the Celtic nations, goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it used to be, tests for jobs. It used to be a community thing. Guys would test each other. There were stones that women were famous for lifting that other men couldn't. But it's just like, it's this really beautiful experience, and everyone cheers each other on. There's like, 4-year-old kids that just step up and they have these little stones, and you get it over, the beam or the dais, and the crowd goes wild. And I really want to portray that too, that it's not just like, oh my God, it's these crazy weights and I'm going to hurt myself. It's jump in there. It's go step by step, and you're going to be in the company of great people and legends in this. And same with the collar and elbow. These guys who are coming in, yes, there's going to be pro fighters that are going to be there who are going for the championship, but there's also the lectures. Like, we're going to have the catch wrestling lecture, we're going to have a bare knuckle boxing lecture and demo, and we're going to have the Irish stick fighting, the Batarak with Nathan Featherstone. He's like one of the world leaders in teaching this very, like, almost not dead, but just like rare lineage of martial art, that he's going to be there teaching it. It's like, it's amazing. And it's for someone just to come in, and that's a part of, like, you got to talk to Nathan about this too, you guys, and the history of the shillelagh, and how the British, I don't want to, terrorize or destroy the story, but how the British, outlawed weaponry, and then that's how the shillelagh came in, and how it became martial art form. And it's just like, it's really fascinating stuff. And aside from all that, kids are welcome, elders are welcome. And then there's the kids station, and we're going to have the tug of war against the pros with like 40 kids against 5 giants. And so there's like, it's very interactive, of like, and then there'll be a potato sack race. There'll be all kinds of activities for the kids, so you have to bring the kids. And it's just like, man, there's just so much to talk about of all that's happening. It's hard to, I'm sorry to blab on about it all so much, but it's just, there's so much to cover. But I really want to set the tone that people need to understand of how accessible this is. that this isn't something that's out there, and yeah, it's intimidating, like collar and elbow, or lifting a stone, but the people that are there are the right people to lead you through, if that's to experience that. And we're just so, man, we're just so excited that the right people are coming together, and I just can't wait for you guys to be there, and us to experience and create this together. I'm really excited for it.
It's gonna be it's gonna be amazing, and I just hope that some of the professional fighters don't hear a lot of the things that Mike's been saying about them ahead of the event.
they've heard
Um,
they've heard everything, and they are, I've been getting DMs just left and right. Mike, you are in trouble,
yeah,
brother.
Yeah, I'm a
if they
dead
want to
man.
email, if they want
I'll
to
do
email
my I'll
me,
do my will over before the 13th. I'll be
Yeah.
all set.
No, but
can
Well,
I have the fancy Bronco in the will?
this I'm so glad you came on, Josh. This has been
Yeah, it's
really
great.
fun, and I'm really excited for the 13th. You have definitely just really set the tone for what people can expect when they come out on the 13th. I really hope people really learn about it and bring their family. I know we're going to be there. My kids are coming with me because
Yeah.
they have to, but they but I think like anything, I think when people get there and they see, like you said, it's interactive. It's just not sitting and watching. That's a huge thing to get people in, not
Yeah.
just to watch their heritage, but to get
Hmm.
their hands dirty.
Totally.
That's
Totally.
yeah,
That's what it's about, right?
yeah,
Like that's how it stays alive. It's not just in a book. It's alive in you.
right,
It becomes
Oh
a
yeah.
part of you.
yeah.
It becomes you. You become it, and you carry that on. It's like it fills you. In this odd way. And what I got to say too, and there'll be a special drop announcement for your podcast, is we're actually going to
Well,
do a tartan red carpet runway fashion show. So bring your kilt,
oh, get out of
and
here.
and you got to get on the kilt, and there's going to be a few special judges that'll come out that you'll see, and you got to strut your stuff on the runway, and there'll be a fun little raffle prize that you'll win for it, but it's all for posterity and just for fun, and getting yourself out there. So
I'm
it's for everybody. You get the
I-
fashion
I'm
element. So
I'm pretty sure you can count on me participating in that right after a quick
hey,
visit to the beer garden.
yes, that's it. Beer garden opens at noon. Fashion runways at 1. So we're gonna be ready to get you lubed up a little bit for those who need to.
That's enough time.
Um, yeah, but yeah, man, it's just so. We're gonna announce the master schedule pretty soon too. So keep your eyes out, peeled for that, because that's gonna really detail, little by little, because they have all these things coming together. There's more people that want to join, and we're talking to some hurling teams too about having some demos there, and so there's just like it's just
Mike,
now
Mike,
it's you know it's,
I'm not gonna be there that day. I'm not gonna be available for the podcast.
This is
yeah,
great. I'm excited.
yeah,
Thank you so much
yeah,
for coming on, Josh. Well, like I said, we'll put all the links and everything in our show notes. We'll push everything out on social media to, I think everybody who's involved in this can just say they want it to be as absolutely successful as possible. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, thank you. And you guys are helping. So thank you so much for having me on and just allowing me the space to say all these words that hopefully reach the hearts of our Celtic diaspora in New England and just motivate them to just get there and be a part of this historic events. This has never happened before. These things coming together have never happened before, and it's all of us working together. So thank you guys very much for having me on.
awesome. You're welcome.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well, thank you, Josh. And
Yeah.
we'll be in touch and we'll see you on the 13th.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I know. It Wait a minute. You know what, Michael? I thought we've been pretty clear about the no drinking during the podcast rule. I didn't know that this was being suspended. All right. Oh, all right. Well, I wouldn't be having a zero even if I was there, but yeah. I was I was just gonna say I hope you poured your own drinks for the rest of the time because you never know what she was gonna. But no, look. I still remember. I never had, and I've been a Guinness drinker for a long time, but I never had Guinness out of a can. I guess it was a snobby thing. I don't know, but I never had Guinness out of a can till I joined the Ancient Order of Hibernians. And at our very first meeting, we started having a few pints afterwards. And at one point, it was my turn to kind of pour, and I had no idea how to do it. And I thought I was going to embarrass myself on my very first night of AOH membership. So I kind of winged it, and it was fine. And then all those years later, Mike was teaching us how to do it. And I said, I've been doing it right all along. But it's definitely an important knob. Turn it upside down in a pint glass and let it all fall out like that because you're going to have head on it about that thick, right? So that's a good one. But yeah, I would welcome the chance to redo that episode. A, because he's such a great guest, and you got to see him with this huge beard and his scally, and he looks like some who's in marketing for Guinness. But speaking of drinking on the podcast, that was the day we were down in the old triangle for about 6 hours, and anyone with any kind of an ear can tell that we'd had a few pints along the way from the beginning of the podcast to the end. And I've taken some fair amount of ribbon for it. So I'd like to be able to, go back and do that, and maybe even revisit our pint pouring contest behind a bar somewhere, Michael, where I lost so badly to what I thought was faulty equipment and not bad pint management on my own. But that would be good, just to do a show just with with Mike somewhere. We could actually do it right here on the South Shore too. Yeah, I think great. Well, let me say this. Josh has a lot of energy and an amazing energy, and he's really passionate on all of the subjects. And I thought that his excitement about the event was actually contagious throughout the interview, and I found myself getting more and more excited about it. And so amazing ambassador, no doubt, but somebody who's put in a lot of time. And I've emailed back and forth with him a little bit and texted and whatnot, and we've been supporting his events, through the South Shore Irish Heritage Trail too. But I was really immediately charmed by how involved he was in the whole event, and could see now, after speaking to him, his whole vision coming together. So the event's going to be amazing. It's going to be so widespread in terms of interest. And we talked about it earlier too. I mean, it's not just, it's Celtic culture. It's not, just an Irish event. It's Scottish and Welsh. And um no, I thought it was great, and just the partnerships he's made are amazing too. Because every now and again you'll be talking to one of the guys from the Era Society, and they'll say, "Did you meet those guys at the No Fame Games?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, I've been talking to them." And now they're a big sponsor of the event. So I mean, it's almost like it's going to be a just the Irish and Irish American groups from the Boston area are going to overwhelm the event. So it's going to be like old home week. And I'm planning on telling everyone about it, and bringing some folks too. I mean, they're gonna have a beer garden, and you're gonna do some stone lifting too, and probably yeah. That was that made it seem a lot more real though, because I just kind of imagined myself lifting a rock and everyone laughing at me. And then when he started talking about a waiver, I said, might be a little bit more serious. So maybe I'll stick to the beer garden, or maybe I will live up to my threat to show up with a kilt on and enter that contest. Because I think everyone, you, you might be surprised at my pins. I might impress some people and do the division honor. But I was actually looking at kilt websites while we were doing the interview, and I was amazed at how many of them there were. So this is going to be a learning experience, and I learned a lot on the interview too. Yeah, you couldn't be more right, Mike. It's going to be, stuff that a lot of us have never seen. It's going to be cross cultural again, and I think it's, the interview itself was cross cultural. There's a couple of times he was, I thought he was trying to express himself in Irish and was trying to figure out what he was saying, and it dawned on me that he was actually speaking, Scots Gaelic, and that was his kind of language foray, and something, he was very cross cultural too, having lived in so many different places and stuff like that. But I was really interested in that, and I wanted to talk to him about it, but it wasn't. I'm looking forward to chatting with him about how he picked up that language. You know, gr- being from Massachusetts. Yeah, I could have, that interview could have gone on a lot longer as far as I'm concerned. It might have ended up being like 3 episodes before we were done, because we didn't get, we learned a lot about the subject matter, the games and, the strength sports and everything, but we didn't really get to talk a lot about Josh, and I'd like to dig into that him a little bit more. Well, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully, they attract the attention to all of these events, and the entirety of the cultural kind of showcase that they're putting on, and people sort of add that to what they're interested in, because I don't think I've ever heard of or seen anything like this. So um, definitely interesting. And again, if you got a name like Josh Mackintosh, you're okay with me. I don't have any. No, I don't have any tidbits except to say this, and we've talked about it a few times, and we've already walked the plank on this, because I was down at the Red Rose in Weymouth, and got 2 or 3 guys asking me about, "Hey, when's the road bowling start? I thought you were going to show everyone how to do it." And we're really going to have to try to kick that off this summer. So if anyone's watching, we already have a few volunteers to help out and want to help us kick that off. Um, I don't want to miss out on it, because I think we talked about it so much that we're going to have to do it. And I'm actually, the more I was discussing it, oh yeah, I was disappointed that we hadn't done it already, when I was talking to the guys, and you know who I'm talking about too. Um, so I think, with the weather getting better and things like that, we really need to try to kick that off. So that's, but you don't think of it when you're on the show, that people are kind of paying that much attention, that they'd say, "Hey, whatever happened to your road bowling?" So that was good, and I probably shouldn't have told everybody I was so great at it too, but that's that'll be my problem. If only I used all this time to practice. But we have all the equipment now. Uh, I did see it. I did see it and I really liked it because, with the advent of AI and everyone knows how to use it now, some of the comments, I think it was, I forget which outlet it was, but it was one of the Irish newspapers. The comments were including pictures of mock ups of the various memorials, and it ranged from, a nice mosquito to a mosquito biting a guy on his backside. And it was really, it was funny. And I think that the folks took it in the most Irish way possible. So fingers crossed for them. I hope they try it. I think that would be, I doubt the Guinness World Records people would understand the massive uh, kick in the pants it would be to the English, but I think in the end it would be legendary if they pulled it off. Oh yeah, that would be. I mean, hey, that's tourism, and that's it's also a historic lesson and a little comeuppance all at the same time. So, hats off to him for the idea, and it would be massive. There's no doubt. Absolutely, and I'm already thinking about different ways where I could have a 2 or 3 pints lined up, sort of off camera until the afters start. Or, I mean, the original idea was to do it, over at Tinker's in front of their nice fireplace. So maybe we have to try that too. Obviously, with no fireplace in the summertime, but yeah, yeah. And if you think about it, a lot of the places up at the Irish bars and restaurants up and down the South Shore would have good spots for this. So maybe that's our excuse to get out and do some on site. But no, great episode. It was a lot. Sorry, great episode. It was a lot. We have a lot coming up, and I would say, looking forward to some more updates of things that are going on, and definitely looking forward to recording on site at the No Fame Games. Right. I'd say so. Excellent episode. Looking forward to the next one. And thanks everybody. If you've been with us from the beginning, hopefully we've been getting better, and looking forward to bringing more an expanded version of the show in the future. So I think it was a great idea, Michael. All right. Slán.